My partner is from Morocco, so the topic of West Sahara is sensitive for her. It's often easy to see when topics are very sensitive for other people. It's less easy to see when topics are sensitive for us. And also less to see that actually all of this is driven by attachment. Basically, people tie their identity to, let's say, a specific soccer club or soccer winning. I often discuss with my partner also about, let's say, Egyptians or Algerians or whatever, and her view of Moroccan as of the Egyptians and the Algerians, and the Algerians and Egyptians' view of Moroccans. And as a person who is neither Egyptian nor Moroccan nor Algerian, from the outside, I kind of see that both are just people, and kind of seeing the other as someone who you compete with or whatever may not be very useful indeed. As I say, these people become attached to their identity. They actually fuse their identity, this core of a human which protects you in a tribal state or situation, to the idea that you are an Egyptian or you are Moroccan or you are Algerian or whatever. There's other ideas which people tie to that. For example, they may tie the idea, I'm a good human being if I never speak up for my needs, something I used to have. So I felt it is important to sacrifice my needs in order for other people to be happy and also to be safe with other people. This is a belief I recognized as fused to my identity, and also in a moment of quantum shift, I actually realized that it's not serving me, that it's actually damaging, and that this is not protecting me. It's just something which is taking away from my life. So I was able to remove that as from being part of my identity, that I'm the one who sacrifices or whatever. But there's also a deeper part to this. And this is another part which I've recognized recently, and this is that we have the identity of the person who has to change this other person. Let's say if my partner has this idea that West Sahara should belong to Morocco and that everyone is unlawful or whatever, and I believe maybe I should reform her and open her up to the idea that there's some separatists who kind of see this in a different way, and we at least need to discuss or whatever. And if I get too attached to that idea, I also fuse that with my identity. Basically, the core or maybe the idea that it's important to resist against war or not to resist against war, the idea that I'm a soldier or the idea that I'm a peace activist or whatever. I believe all of these are ultimately things which we fuse to our identity, and if someone challenges that, we then start to not react in a way which is logical and where we actually reflect about that, but we start to act in a way as if our core self was threatened and if we were in mortal danger. Because for our ancient brain, in a way, it feels like that, since your identity exists in order to protect you and your position in the tribe, and exclusion from the tribe meant that you might die. That is why this whole thing exists. And that is what a lot of these interpersonal conflicts and so on are caused by, from my perspective. That is why unlinking a lot from your identity, identifying when you are making something to your identity and when it's actually not productive, is a very good thing. Again, from my perspective. So the one thing which I believe would be really, really good and useful to do is to recognize when you are trying to reform other people and when you actually become emotionally invested in reforming other people. Especially if it's about something which doesn't really impact you that much. There's probably a difference between these people being your kids, dependent on you in some way, and if these people are adults, friends, for example. Again, my partner told me of someone who actually is with a drug addict woman, apparently quite a rich person, and he's invested in saving her from the drugs. This seems to me also to be maybe, potentially, he sees himself as a rescuer. The question is, and that's something I've realized, is this sustainable? And also, does it have to be you necessarily? As adults, we interact with other people, adults, kids. Sometimes we're able to give other people some wise insights, some words of wisdom, some impulse, which might carry them forward. Sometimes well meant words are perceived in a frustrated state and they do not yield the necessary effect. When you see that you are giving advice, you're suggesting this, nothing changes, then maybe it's time to rethink your identity as the changer of other people, the rescuer, the saver of other people. In reality, actually, these people are probably in a state where they're mostly fine with where they're at. And maybe your input will take blossom many years later when another person manages to finally unlock the lock which has been rusted shut. Maybe you were one of the little drops of oil which lubricated the lock. Maybe there's many other drops of oil which needs to lubricate that particular lock in order to unlock. Or maybe in reality there is no lock to unlock. And maybe we are mistaken ourselves because also we have a certain worldview, a certain perspective, and a certain cultural upbringing. And sometimes there's just plain differences in the way of what people perceive as being right, as being righteous, and also of how to live together, how to unfold your own life. Some people are just plain different. There's many different life designs. But the reality is again, as I say, if we unlink things from our identity, which are causing us pain and stress and other things, including of being the rescuer of people who are experiencing trouble, who are maybe drug addicted, who are dependent on alcohol. The identity also of someone who keeps the family together, let's say in case of there's alcohol, you have an alcoholic partner, whatever. Sometimes giving up this identity feels like a little death to you, but in reality it's a massive liberation. I hope this video was inspiring to you. If so, I'm looking forward. You know what to do. Thanks.